Ladies
Well, hi,
and
everyone.
gentlemen,
Thank you, Judy, for introducing me. So as she said, my name is Judy Wood. It's not often that you have two Judys on the same call. But and I want to thank you all for the opportunity to meet with you all to discuss career planning and development. So as Judy mentioned, I'm a continuous learning advisor, formerly known as a skills pivot coach. You may have heard about that. And I'm part of that Capabilities Evolution program. So that program was created for ATO, Skills Transformation, about 5 years ago. And it's under that broader HR, AT&T Communication Future Ready program. Initially, the program was created to really help our folks focus on building competencies or skills in the emerging technologies. So those are strategies and technologies that are basically shaping our business. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what those are in a little bit. So we recently changed our name because now that we're in 2020, our focus has shifted from pivoting skills to one more of continuous learning. So, the name now better fits what the focus of the program is. So we've all seen how business is changing and how rapidly technology is changing. To really remain relevant, we need to have that mindset of a continual learner. It has to be kind of part of our day-to-day life, part of our culture. Also, as you guys have seen with the recent reorgs, ATO has been kind of dispersed, divided up. Parts of it went to the business and consumer. We have a new group, network and engineering technology, I think, and then technology services. So like probably most of you, in CE, we are kind of waiting to see how things fall out, how things change and who we end up supporting, because there's no longer really an ATO. Currently, we're in Jeremy Legg's organization under John Summers, and that's the Technology Services Organization. So there are a lot of unknowns with the company's transition or transformation initiatives, like Judy had mentioned, and which can definitely cause some anxiety, especially when we hear leadership speak of surpluses. Now, if you've been around for a while, you've been through this before, and there's a lot outside. There's a lot of things that you can't control. But, one thing I think of is try to focus on what you can control. And your career development is one of those things. It's also good to think about your career plans and get your information, like your resume, ready beforehand so that you're not having to scramble in the event you are impacted. Also, I think it's good to kind of think about your career plans and have, kind of a plan A and plan B, because you never know if your plan A is going to actually pan out. So today, we're going to discuss several things. We're going to discuss steps you can take to develop your career plan or plans, ensure you are aware of the tools and resources to help you with those plans, and how you can use those tools. So let me go to the next slide here. Now, this is a template that was created by the advisors. It lists the steps you take in planning your career and provides links to resources you can use to help you in those steps. So all of these are hot links over here. And on the far right, we included resources that are out on the HR One Stop. But if you're like me, sometimes it's hard to find exactly what you're looking for, so we put some direct links in here. So one of the first steps you take in career planning is assessing yourself. Think about what are those skills I have, or where do I want to go? And you can use PLE, the competency section, to help you kind of identify skills aligned to your job title. And that might help you identify maybe some gap areas you want to focus on. Also in the competency section, you can see some top competencies that business units have identified. And, say if you're wanting to get over onto the business side of the house, what are those skills that they're looking for? And, evaluate yourself. Do I have those skills? And if I don't, maybe that's a gap area that I want to focus on. You can also use the Extraordinary Leader Model. That model's been around for a while, and that really focuses on some leadership characteristics that will help us as a company drive exceptional performance. It's more around how we achieve results. Now, Career Intelligence, you may be familiar with it, but it's a tool and a resource that houses all of the management job titles in it. It includes a profile on each title and allows you to do some research on that title that you might be interested in. Just a word of caution, when you look at the job title trending information in Career Intelligence, look at it with a grain of salt, because they don't give you enough information to really understand why something might be trending upward or downward. You can also find competencies in high demand by organization in Career Intelligence, which might help you find areas you want to work on. They recently added a what they call a typical day video for some job titles over in Career Intelligence page. So you can hear from somebody in that title, hear what they do on a daily basis, what are the skills they use, that kind of thing. Okay, before I go any further, I wanted to mention that these resources are available to all management employees. They may or may not be available to non-management, kind of depends on the contract, like nanodegrees. Some are available based on the contract. If you're a non-exempt employee, then some of these resources, if they're more volunteer-based, you probably want to talk to your supervisor before you go down those paths. And I'll try to point out where those volunteer resources are as we go through here. Okay, excuse me. So if you think about where you want to go and what you want to focus on, one thing you might want to also do is look at those emerging technologies. So like I said earlier, these are strategies or technologies that are shaping our business. And you can find learning paths or, for those emerging technologies in the PLE by those green diamonds. So emerging technologies are things like, 5G, Azure, data analytics, security, some of those areas that you hear our leadership talk about where we're investing more. Now, if you find it difficult assessing yourself, you can look at some of the self-assessment tools that are out over in HR One Stop. They have a career life plan out there that's pretty good. It might help you kind of think through what's important to you, what are your passion areas. Lastly, here in the assess area, we included an ATO CE link to our program. So if you want to, check it out, find out more information, you can. So after you use these tools and you kind of sit down and think about where you want to go and what you want to focus on, your next step is to develop a plan. And that's where you can use PLE, which is just, has all kinds of training out there. We'll take a look at some of that in a little bit. But you can use it to find training that will help you develop the skills that you want to focus on. Your plan might also include some more formal education options, like maybe you want to pursue a master's degree, which you'll find information on the Advanced Learning TU site. Or maybe you want to go down the nano degree route, or there's also Coursera specializations over on the TU site. And those last two things, nano degrees and Coursera specializations, they give you an opportunity to actually use the skill. So not only will you learn about it, but they're going to give you projects to do. So coming out of those types of learning paths or training programs, your proficiency level is probably going to be a working experience, where if you just take a course, like a web-based course, and they don't make you use the skill, then your proficiency level is probably going to be basic understanding. Okay, OLE, or Open Learning Engine, is a resource. It's around social learning, basically. It's where your fellow employees have submitted content in OLE to share with everybody else in the company. So you can use this to supplement your training. So you'll find things like white papers that subject matter experts have written, or videos, like maybe a YouTube video on a topic that a fellow employee found very helpful, so they want to share it with others. So like I said, you can use that to kind of supplement your training. Now, if you take some courses on a topic, like I said, most courses aren't going to make you use that skill. If you can use the skill in your current job, that's ideal. You'll be able to probably better your job and do something a little faster or whatever. So that's great. But if you can't, then there's some other tools here that are available for you to help you use those skills. One of them is what we call CEL. It stands for Collaborative Experiential Learning Lab. And if you think about a lab like when you were in school, it's the same concept. It allows you to take a skill and practice with it in a safe environment. And that's available to everybody as far as management. I don't believe it's available for non-management because it's a voluntary. You have to do that on your own time, basically. Okay. The Opportunity Marketplace is another opportunity to use a skill, to apply those skills that you've learned by opening a classified. Again, both of these, CEL and TOM, they are voluntary offerings, so you do that more on your own time. So like I said earlier, it's not offered to non-management, and if you're non-exempt, you would definitely need to talk to your supervisor before you go down that route to make sure they're aware of it and they approve. Okay. So part of your career plan may be to find a mentor. And there's a mentoring resources link here that provides some options for you. You know, one of them is like an ERG. Another is like opening a Tom Classified to try to find a specific mentor. You could also talk to your supervisor. Maybe they know somebody who would be a good mentor for you based off what you want to focus on. Not only will a mentor help you learn from others, you know, based off their experience and knowledge, it also can gain exposure to leaders, and it's a great way to build your network. So every time you meet someone at AT&T or work with someone, it's an opportunity to make an impression and to connect with them. Your network is really important, so make it a priority. And we have tools like T-Space to help you with that. There's also lots of AT&T folks out on LinkedIn, which is another way to network and connect with them. So you put together your plan, and then you document your plan in Amplify. And there's a couple ways to do this. One is if your plan is for this year, part of it's for this year, you can identify those goals as development goals in your goals and accomplishments. So maybe you want to complete a learning path by the end of the year. You can put that as a goal in your goals and accomplishments in Amplify. If it's more of a longer-term goal, then you can document that in the My Profile Career Plan. Actually, a section in the profile section of Amplify, and we'll go out there and I'll show you exactly where that is. And then you can use those to have that discussion with your supervisor, you know, in your one-on-one, so that they know where you want to go, where you're headed. And they will be, you know, usually they're an advocate for you to help you get to where you want to be. Okay. Also, your profile in Amplify has other information on you, and you can really use it to market yourself. There's a brand statement out there where you can describe in a couple of sentences, you know, what you bring to the company, what your passion areas are, et cetera. Along with, there's other sections in your profile for your work history, your education, et cetera. Your competencies now, the system of record there is PLE for those. When you update your competencies in PLE, it updates them real time there, but then it sends the updates over to Amplify and other systems. But it takes about 24 to 48 hours for that full cycle to complete. And, you know, as you complete training and execute your plan, you are growing, you're evolving, you know, you're getting more skills. So you always want to go back to PLE and update those competencies. And it's really up to you to update them. There is no automated process to update the competencies after you've completed courses. And they do that because everybody's different. You know, one person might need to take, say, 2 courses on a skill, and they feel like they have a basic understanding. Or maybe another person, based off their background, they need to take maybe 3 or 4 courses. So they really leave it up to the individual to determine when they feel like they have a basic understanding of the skill. And when you do, then go out and update your competencies. Okay, so at some point in your career, you may have plans to move to another position. So you will nominate for that, you know, like out on Career Path. So we included some resources over here on the right, like resume and interviewing resources that are out in one stop if you need some of those. So the steps we've discussed here are really the same regardless if your plans are to stay with AT&T or to look for positions outside the company. Obviously, in the latter, the resources would change. Now, I wanted to mention at the bottom of the template here, we have a link to our T-Space Continuous Learning Advisor T-Space community. So we're going to be covering a lot of information today, and I know it can be almost overwhelming. Don't feel overwhelmed, or if you do, you can always reach out to an advisor. That T-Space site will have, there's a little button out there where you can request a session, basically. And then one of the advisors will reach out to you, and then, you know, we can do like a one-on-one. Or, you know, I'm always available if you just have a question or two. I'm usually on queue, so you can reach me that way. Okay, so now let's go ahead and jump into a couple of these resources. We won't have time to go through all of them, but you'll get a copy of this deck so that you can explore on your own a little bit later. So let me, I'm going to go ahead and escape here and go. I think I have PLE already opened. So bear with me for a minute here. Looks like maybe, let me see if I got it over here. I think this is it. Oh, it's not it. Sorry about that. I'll tell you what, let me just go back over here. And I'll do the link, go straight into it. Sorry about that. We're going to see my version of PLE. If there are any non-management folks on the call, your version may look a little bit different. Okay, so this is the home page. And first thing I want to point out is if you scroll down here, you'll see Future Ready. If you click on that card, it's going to show you the continuous learning model. So HR introduced this, I guess it was in the February time, and you can see the infinity symbol. So that really emphasizes that idea of continuous. The left side of the model is more around learning. And if you click on or hover over any of these boxes, you'll get resources, links to resources you might use in those steps. So they use some of the words are a little bit different, but basically, yeah, these are the same things you do that I just talked about, how you want to kind of assess, plan, and evolve. And then the right side of the model is when you want to find a new job, in a new role. You want to gain some exposure, identify, look for opportunities, and then nominate. So that they have some nice, helpful links out here for you. So I wanted to point that out because that is fairly new. So let me go back over to our home page. And now I want to go into the My Learning section. So this section houses a couple things. One, the top part here, My Learning Path, that's where you can create your own learning path based off what you want to focus on. And then down below, you've got assigned learning paths, paths that have been pushed to you that your organization or maybe your business unit wants you to take, followed by assigned courses. Now, how do you find training around to build your own learning path? Well, PLE gives you lots of options. The first option we're going to look at is Explore Learning. This is where somebody has either like HR or CE or other groups have basically put together training for you. And they call these the training learning path. So if you scroll down, the easiest way to navigate in here is to go to the learning path type and expand it. And here you'll see the different types of learning paths we'll talk about briefly here. And you'll see those emerging learning paths, the green diamonds I mentioned. So we're going to use that as our example today. So I select it, and I'm going to find learning paths that have been put together for me that are aligning to those emerging technologies. And you can see the green diamonds there. Now, you can also double filter, so I can kind of refine my filter here a little bit. Say I want to move into a specific job family. I can select job family and keep the green diamond. So it's going to show me all the job families that are aligning to those emerging technologies. And a job family is just where HR took our management job titles and they basically grouped them into families. So now I can come down here and I can see, maybe I'm interested in data analysis as an example. I can open up that card and it's going to show me all the job titles that align to that job family. And then down below, the format here is basically the same in all the learning paths. It shows you courses, and the default is to show you all courses for all competencies. But I can filter on this competency dropdown, and this is where I can start looking at, okay, maybe I have big data analysis or business intelligence already. I don't need to develop that skill, but maybe data mining is something I don't have. So I'll select it, and it's going to show me courses now that I can take to help me develop that skill. And this is where I can now add those courses to a learning path based off of the learning path I've already created, or I can create a new one. And I'm just going to call this data analysis. So I can name it whatever I want, whatever helps, makes sense to me. I'll save it, and that creates a blank learning path. And now I can select courses here, or all of them, and then just say add it to that learning path. So I'm basically developing my own customized learning path based off what I want to focus on. And then when I'm ready to really take training, I have everything under the My Learning area. Now, one thing I'll mention in job family learning paths is that the courses here are going to be pretty basic. And when you pull them up, they're not really in any specific order. So you have to do a little bit of work to, to find which one you want to take first. Like look for words like overview, foundational or fundamental. Those are going to be kind of key words to say you might want to start with these courses. If you don't see those words, then you can click on the course and try to find more of a description of it. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to our Explore Learning. And I think it closes my filter. Now, so those are going to be, like I said, courses that are going to give you kind of a basic understanding or foundational knowledge of an area. Specialization learning paths, they dive deeper. So they give you not only basic courses, but more intermediate and advanced. So if I select that, I'm going to find learning paths, those specialization learning paths. And bear with me, I'm going to pull up the big data one because I know that that has a good example in. Sorry about the scrolling. So here we go, big data specialization. You can see the format is the same as under job family, only there's no job titles here because these cross many, many titles. But the same concept, I could look for a specific competency, or I can, the other thing I can do is I can look at the More Info button. This is going to open up a spreadsheet that shows me all the courses in this learning path, and they're going to be in the recommended order of the courses. So it's going to show me those, beginner courses, followed by intermediate and advanced. Sorry, it doesn't seem, let me try that again. Okay, it's downloading. So what I do if I'm working on a specialization, I'll just, download that spreadsheet, and then I'll take the courses in the order listed here. That way I'm not taking an advanced course prior to building up my knowledge and, just getting frustrated. So that's really handy for the specializations. I'm going to close that. We'll go back over here. Go back to our Explore Learning. And just a couple other things I wanted to mention here is you also have, like if you're just looking for really high-level information on emerging technologies, the Transformation Learning Series is going to give you like maybe an hour course on 5G, so just barely touching the surface of that. Here's your nano degrees that you can check out as well. Other options you have as far as finding training are, let me go ahead and clear that out, is to do searches on your own. So up here in the black menu bar, you've got a global search feature. So if I was interested in finding training on 5G, I can just type in a couple keywords, and it's going to go out and find me all kinds of things that match 5G. So maybe here I've got a 5G overview course that I can select, read about it, and say, yeah, this might be something that I'm interested in taking. And just like before, I can find a learning path and add it to that, or I can create a new one. So that's another option for you. Another option is under resources. So let me go over here. And, we have an agreement with LinkedIn, and we've pulled in a lot of LinkedIn courses into the learning path. But in addition to that, you have access to the full LinkedIn Learning Library, and you can access it under Resources in the LinkedIn Learning card. If you click on here, the first time you do this, it will ask you if you want to connect your personal account with your AT&T account. And you can do that if you want. You don't have to. It's kind of up to you. But it's kind of bypassed that because I've already linked, connected my personal account with my my AT&T account. And if you don't have a LinkedIn account, that's okay too. It'll still come out here. But once you get into LinkedIn, like I said, you've got access to the whole library. So now I can find things like maybe I'm looking for design thinking. I can type a couple words in here. You can see it pulled up everything that I researched earlier. So I can click on design thinking, and it's going to show me courses I can take around design thinking. And the nice thing about LinkedIn Learning is that when you complete the courses out here, you can update your LinkedIn profile, and it will send a feed to AT&T, which will then update your history. So you really kind of get credit in both places for it. I also really like the LinkedIn courses. I think they're very, the way they're structured is really, it helps me because they're kind of like bite-sized pieces. So you can, if you've got 10, 15 minutes, you can knock out a few things. Okay, so that's also an option for you. So let me go ahead and close that and go back over here to PLE. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention that's not here yet, but it's coming soon. Not sure, we're hoping this summer. It's kind of dependent on how all the organization stuff falls out. But it's something called Continuous Learning Tracks, and it's going to be over here in the resources section. What this is that it's going to be a collection of resources for specific topics all in one spot, so it's easy to find, it's going to include things like communities, study groups, We're identifying subject matter experts who will be available, you know, like if you're learning an area and you want to just have somebody to talk to ask a question of, they're going to be available for you. The topics are going to be including things like 5G, Azure, data analysis. It's going to be those areas that we here at ATO that our employees are really struggling with, or they have some challenges, you know, this year to try to like maybe move things to Azure, so we included that. And then we'll be gradually adding additional topics ongoing. Okay, so be on the lookout for that coming sometime this year. Okay, so now let me go back over to our home page, and I wanted to go over a couple other resources. If you scroll down, you'll see a cell card. So I talked about cell earlier. Remember, that's that learning lab. If you open up that card, it will take you to a T-Space community, and you can find out more information about cell. Like I said, they have opened this up to all managers, not available today to non-management. And this is one of those voluntary things, so if you're non-exempt, you need to talk to your supervisor. But down below, you'll see the cells we have. We don't have a lab for every skill, but they continue to add to this. So say I took some courses on chatbots, and now I want a way to practice that. So I can click on chatbot cell, read about it, find out what kind of skills I'm going to be practicing and what kind of projects I'm going to be working on, and see if this is going to be a good fit for me. I'll check out the prerequisites. They want you to be successful, so they give you some prereqs before you sign up. And this is a little funky. It opens up basically a Word document, and you got to kind of scroll down and find chatbots again. And here it shows me, here's my knowledge requirements or prerequisites. If I don't have this knowledge, then I probably need to do some other work before I sign up for the cell. It also shows me the time commitment. Again, this is voluntary, so you kind of get to see, okay, how long is this going to take? It's going to be 9 weeks, 40 hours. Do I have that time in my personal life to do that? And when I complete it, it's going to show me what proficiency level I have in which competencies, in this case, chatbots. Okay, so let me go ahead and close that. And then once you decide, yeah, this is something I want to pursue, you just click on the enroll, and that's going to circle you back into PLE and pull up the actual lab where you can see, okay, what kind of, what is the time frame for this lab? As you can see on this one, they've got a session starting later this month. There's no available seats, so I can go on a wait list, or there's going to be one in the July time frame that I could sign up for. So that's how you enroll in the lab. And the lab is, they usually wait until they have like, well, they usually have like, I want to say 6 to 10 people, spots in the lab. So, when you're working, you're working alone, but you have other people that you can reach out to if you need. Okay, let me go ahead and close that. And I'll close that too. Now I want to go into TOM, the Opportunity Marketplace. So if you all probably get those emails when classifieds are opened today, that show you the new classifieds. And classifieds are just like a classified ad in the paper where anybody in the company can place an ad to reach out and connect with others in the company. If you've never been in TOM, what you probably want to do first is go to your profile. And a lot of this gets populated automatically for you on the right from Amplify. But on the left, you can edit this. You can identify your top skills. It shows you other information here that you can edit, as well as other people can identify, what they see in you. Okay, now if you go to the marketplace, this is going to show you what's available for you and TOM, and this will vary based off your business unit. Everybody, though, has classified. So if I want to create a classified, I just click on Create One, and say I was looking for a mentor in an area. It's going to give me the opportunity types. I could find this one, Learn from Others, or Find a Mentor. And then I type in a title. This is what you will see in the emails that get sent out. So you want to be kind of descriptive here. And it does give you more room to provide more detailed description down below. And then you can place the classified as people read it, and if they're a match to that one, then they can respond that they're interested. So it's a way to connect the people. And also a way to find additional work if you're looking for, trying to build those skills. So let me go ahead and cancel that. And I'm going to go back over to PLE, and we're going to go down to Amplify. I want to talk about the profile and amplify a little bit and where you can document your longer-term career plans. So I think this is going to pull me up, right onto my homepage. And here's my profile, career plan, and competency. So if I click on that link, it's going to open up my profile. And like I said earlier, this is a way to market yourself. I try to come out here at least once a year to just make sure that everything's accurate. Or if I'm looking for a job, want to switch jobs internally, then I definitely want to take a look at this because this is information that HR has access to. Anywhere you see this little pencil icon means you can edit that section. So if you don't have your picture out here, you can add that. You can add some verbiage around, who you are, that kind of thing. The more information you can have out here, the better, because like I said, it's a way to market yourself. And then down below, you'll see these sections. Here's the brand statement. This is just going to be a couple of sentences about who you are, what you bring to the company, maybe what you're passionate about, that kind of thing. If you're struggling with your brand statement, there are courses out in PLE. You could do a search for brand, and some courses will pop up. I know that's what I did. I took the course, and it was really good and helped me kind of put together my own brand statement. Now, following that, you've got other sections within your profile. Real quick, the opt-in selections, I would encourage you to opt into both of these. What this does is it opens up your information in your profile to others, and it also tells HR that, hey, you want to be notified if a request is made for people with certain skills and you're a candidate for that you want to be notified of that. Okay, so also below that, you've got your work experience, and this is populated from PCRs to get cut on you. And sometimes those are done for administrative purposes. So sometimes you'll have, it looks like almost identical entries out here. You can clean this up because you've got that pencil icon. If you worked outside the company, you can add that information. Here's business leadership experience. This is going to be a drop-down of things that you can look at to see, do I have any of those experiences? And if I do, let me go ahead and add them. That's followed by your education, certifications, and licenses. A lot of this gets populated automatically based off of courses that you've completed. But if you don't see something, you can update it. Languages, and then I want to get down here to documents. In the documents section, HR recommends that you add your resume out here. And the reason for that is if they get a request for, maybe somebody's looking for Java programmers, they can run queries out here on competencies, and if you're a match, they want to provide your resume to the requester. So keep a current copy of your resume out here in the documents section. Here's your competencies that get fed in from PLE. And then that's followed by your career plan. So remember, this is going to be your longer-term career plans. Your current year career plans are over in your goals and accomplishments. And as you can see, they have two sections here. First, the focus area. So these are going to be competencies that you want to work on, either, well, not only work on, but leverage. So where you have really some strong competencies, you have some strengths here, you want to leverage those. You can identify experience you want to gain in which competencies and which areas you want to grow in. And then on the right, you have the opportunity to identify a couple of different career paths for you, two titles that you might want to pursue, and identify the target time frame for those as well. And like I said earlier, this is good that you can use this information in your one-on-one with your supervisor so that they can see where you're wanting to go. And hopefully be an advocate for you, provide some suggestions. They might be able to connect you to someone in the area that you're interested in. Okay, so let me go back to our PowerPoint. And I want to, I just want to say, you can see that we have lots of resources available. And I really encourage you all to explore them and take advantage of what the company offers. Now, in addition, I usually get quite a few questions around resumes. And I'm definitely not an expert, but over the time I've been with CE, I've kind of pulled together some resources that I provide to people. I included the HR One-Stop Resume and Interviewing resources that's out there for you. In addition, there was a Mentex speaker series that's going on, and they had a session earlier in June on resumes, LinkedIn, and interviewing skills. And then finally, I went to a HR workshop here in St. Louis, I guess it was about a year ago, and they provided a good PDF, so I included that for you guys as well. The other resource I included was, as Judy had said, I'm part of the Professional 50 Forward, ERG, and we did a lunch and learn. We recorded it. We had an external staffing group, cyber staffing, join us and provide information as far as career planning. And you'll see the same types of steps, but their focus was more around external to AT&T. So they talked a lot about LinkedIn. They talked a lot about Indeed, other resources that are out there. So I wanted to include that because I thought it had some really good information in it. So I know we covered a lot today, and like I said earlier, if you ever need assistance with anything or just have a quick question, feel free to cue me. I've got my user ID on the deck. And as well as the continual learning advisor sessions are also available, in addition to, support from your resource, from your supervisor. Okay, so with that, I think we have time for some questions, Judy. We prefer to explain your question because that way if we don't understand, you can clarify. And you can do that.
As I was speaking on mute. Judy, again, I wanted to thank you very much. This was very important, and I'm so glad that we had an opportunity to go through a lot of these steps in PLE and resources that perhaps maybe other people really didn't know about. And so I went ahead and unmuted everybody. And so if you have any questions, let's go ahead and raise our hands and perhaps maybe go ahead and ask Judy any questions we do have. I do know we already started having some side dialogue with our FACES family, perhaps maybe in a session 2, and we could just kind of tap on what we've learned with Judy and now have it apply to perhaps maybe what we can do moving forward as employees and how to better brand ourselves. But at the very least, we do now have these specific resources and know how to navigate them. So let's go ahead and open up the floor. Is there anybody that has any questions for Judy whatsoever? I wonder if everybody's being shy. Except for that dog. All right, really didn't want it to be this short, but however, so Judy, my own question, like I said, we had side dialogue, and how do we know what various business organizations are looking for, like those skills that you were saying that perhaps maybe we could look at Azure, we can look at data science or all that good stuff. Like, is there a resource where we can go to that just kind of has a list of things per business unit, or is that something that we have to go through through our mentors?
No, good question. Let me go back here. I'm going to go. Yeah, here we go. Let me go back to PLE, and I apologize. I don't know if I showed this to you. If you go to the My Competency section, and it's going to take a minute because this is, again, where it pulls up your job title, and we go to the filter, there's going to be something called Top Competencies. Yeah, here we go. It's still working, but bear with me. And I think they're going to probably adjust this based off of all the reorgs, but you'll see what we had prior to the reorgs. If I go to the filter by and click on the drop down, you'll see top competencies right here. And this is where I can see the different business units. So, maybe I want to get into, Ann Chow's organization business. I can select it, and this will show me all of the top competencies they've identified. Now, one thing, then you go through here to see, do I have those skills? And you can also sort on this. So if I sort on the proficiency column, it's going to show me those competencies that I have not rated. Now, this may mean that I just never rated the competency. Maybe I have the skill, but I never rated it. But it also might be able to be a way for you to identify maybe some gap areas. So maybe I don't have this skill. Here's where I can find some courses, and I can, add those to a learning path just like we did before.
Okay.
So that's kind of your clue, I think, as far as, what's important to that business unit.
Very cool.
Also in here, to your job title, but you can change that title. So if you're in a position where you do want to nominate for another position in AT&T, one of the first things you want to do is go find that title in here and compare your competencies to the competencies tied to that title. make sure they're rated. And if you don't have the skill, then you can see, well, that's going to be a gap area. It's really easy to change. Well, it's I shouldn't say it's easy. It's a little confusing. The title. You just click on the box where the title is, and it will show you all the job titles, management job titles in the company.
Oh, okay.
You can scroll down here, or you can also type in the field, but this is where it gets a little, the keystrokes don't appear. It seems like there's a little bit of a problem with the keystrokes. Yeah, so you can see it's kind of a delay. But you can kind of play with it and try to find a title this way too. Excuse me. So maybe I'm looking for a senior data analysis position. I can select it, and it's now going to show me all the competencies tied to that title. And now I can kind of see, do I have those skills? Am I where they think I should be, which is what that bullseye represents. So for this title, they're saying, we think you should be a proficiency level 2 for data governance. And if I'm not there, then I have to kind of think about, well, how can I build up that skill? So this is, and what they do is when you nominate for a job, they're kind of seeing, are you a good fit for it? So do you have the skills that we're looking for that position? And if you don't update your competencies, then they're not going to know, they're going to make decisions based off bad data. So it's really important to get your competencies updated before you nominate for positions. Okay, any other questions you guys have?
Judy, it's Sandy. On this specific screen where it says private/public, what does that reference?
That's just making it private where you can't see it within PLE. And you might ask, well, why would you want to make it private? Well, some people, they may have a skill, but they really don't want to advertise it. Maybe it's a skill that they really don't want a job in. Maybe, they were a Java programmer, but they don't want to do that kind of job. They might make that skill private. But it only makes it private within PLE. So it doesn't control the visibility of it in like other systems like Amplify. Each system has their own way to make things public or private.
Okay, thank you.
This is Farika. I've got a question.
Sure.
How do we reconcile a learning path that assures me that I'm investing my time in a skill that allows me to stay in my physical location?
That's a tough one because when you say stay in your physical location, so.
Yeah, I think this has been my biggest roadblock to knowing what to do next, because I've got a young family and I share custody. So I can't literally just get up and move to another state because that just won't work for me. So,
yeah, what I would do is look in Career Intelligence because they have job title information by location, by state out there. And let me see if we can get out there. I still have Amplify open. We didn't really get into intelligence today, just from a timing perspective, but they have a lot of information about job titles out here. So if I come out here, you'll see this is the home page, and I'm just going to type in data just to find a title for us as an example. And it's going to find me all the titles that have the word data in them.
Okay. And this is through Amplify, not through the PLE platform?
You can get to it from Amplify. It's also in that deck, the PowerPoint that I showed you. This here, it's on there too. Okay, so it found some, looks like 83 jobs. So now I can take a look at these, and maybe I'm gonna, let me just find one, like we'll do this associate data scientist. And I can click on details. And it's going to show me information about that particular job title. And hopefully this isn't a brand new one. But here under View Job Data by State, you can see where this title is. And like here's New York, and it looks like all of these positions, I have a feeling this is a newer title. They're all in the New York area. Let me find, I'll tell you what, let me do another one.
So does that mean I would rule that out because it's not in California where I'm located?
Well, you would know that chances are they're trying to get people in that area. You know, is that job title in your area? That's what I was kind of getting to. Let me find a business management one, because that's pretty generic.
You could search by, instead of search by competency, you could probably say search by state. That would probably help narrow that down to California if you want.
Can you do that reverse search?
Let me try this one. Now, the question about searching by competency, I do not know of a way where you can see, well, where geographically those competencies are used. So
No,
this one might be a little...
California, so if you search by state, and instead of search by competency, then they would bring up the jobs in that state, I think.
With Career Intelligence, I do not know of a way that you can search by location to see all the job titles in that location. You could probably do something through phone, through a query, but not in Career Intelligence. So here, this one, hopefully, yeah. So this one, you've got people in all different states. And you can, you know, if you're interested in the city, you can expand it to see which city. And this tells you where the jobs have been filled, like last year, last quarter, that kind of thing. And if there's any openings.
So this just means I have to take kind of random competencies or and go through and see what would line up with me. It would be great if there could be a reverse search. Or does that mean I'd have to go onto the AT&T website and look under /jobs and do a reverse search there, see what's currently being asked for, and go that way?
Right. In Career Path, you can do a search by location to see, are there any openings in my location?
In Career Path.
Right.
The Career Path is in...
Career Path is in HR One Stop.
Yep.
Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I'm on that portal right now.
Okay. Yeah, from there you can filter by location, and it will get down to state, and then you can even go down lower level like city, and then see if there's any job openings in that area. And then kind of go backwards from there. Okay, what's the job title? Let me go see what competencies they're looking for that title. And sometimes the rec will also include, you know, we're looking for people with certain certifications or certain competencies. So you can see there, you know, do I have those skills?
Okay.
I definitely agree the geographic aspect, most of the systems don't lend itself great, you know, to easily find that. You almost have to go backwards. When you do, if you do find something that is in your area, you know, you can also then connect with others in that title. This is going to show you people in that who have that title near you. So since I'm in St. Louis, here's a couple people who have that title. And this is where that networking becomes important, because I can reach out to them, you know, find out more about what they do, see if the job opening is in their area. You know, any way to get your foot in the door, that's what having a network really does. And I mean, I look at my career, the way I've moved around is because the people, that is really, really important to put some priority on that. And I think that holds true outside the company as well. And that's why it's really important to, you know, make those connections through LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, I would recommend you get one. There's a lot of AT&T folks out on LinkedIn, so you can immediately build your network just through people you know. And by connecting with them, you might get connected to somebody else in another, you know, company or whatever. So it's just a great way to build that network. And I think, Judy, you guys were looking at having somebody come in and speak more about LinkedIn, correct?
Correct. So our next session, folks, for Lunch and Learn, we're going to be taking it to the external. So Judy was very instrumental in helping us with how to brand ourselves internally, but then our next session for Faces will be how to market yourself externally. So yes.
What other questions do you all have?
right. If there are no further questions, Judy, I just wanted to go ahead and thank you again very much for all the help that you've been doing. And if you're okay with it, are you all right if we send our members the deck that you used for this presentation?
Yes, definitely. I will. Do you want me to send it to you, Judy, so you can post it out there wherever?
Yes, ma'am. And then, like I said, too, this session was actually recorded, so please be on the lookout for that link. And in addition to that, we are working on our internal SharePoint site where we can have all these good information kind of warehoused. And eventually, we're launching our FACES att.com external website, so please be on the lookout for that as well. But other than that, if there are no further questions, I just wanted to go ahead and say thank you very much for everybody who's attended. And again, thank you very much, Judy, for your help today.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.